Hi everyone, it's Monique and I am finally done with the beet harvest. It's been about 5 days since the beet harvest ended for me. A lot of people left earlier than me. I was one of the last people in the beet harvest. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really happy about it. I was exhausted. I didn't know people would really be interested in this, but I did receive comments from some people saying that they look forward to hearing my review of the beet harvest, or people just wanted to know my experience in general. So yeah, I thought I'd make a quick video sharing that. I must say, I don't know if I just had a different experience, but I definitely watched videos of the beet harvest before I came this year. And everyone makes it seem like, you know, it's just the greatest thing ever. And it is great, but I feel like some information was left out of these videos. I don't know. Or maybe they just didn't have the type of experience I had. So first of all, I arrived at my destination on September 21st. The next day, September 22nd, we had orientation, and orientation was fine. It was a few hours. You get paid for orientation. You get paid 4 hours, I believe. This year, we got paid $18.80, but I did end up getting like a promotion, so I'll talk about that later. But then my pay went up to $20.26, I think. We had about a week or so off. The harvest doesn't officially start until October 1st, if the weather conditions are right. And then in between the first orientation and when we actually started working, I had like 2 trainings after that. And yeah, in between the trainings and the, oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys can hear that. And in between the training and the orientations, a lot of us were just getting to know each other. We would go out, getting to know our neighbors at our campsites. We started officially working on October 4th. I was the daytime crew. The nighttime crew started, I think, October 5th. And I worked for 22 days straight without 1 day off. Didn't have 1 day off, 22 days straight, 12.5-hour shifts. First 2 days, I think we only worked like 4 to 6 hours because of the rain. But after that, it was 12.5 hours every day. Now I want to talk about some of the harsh realities of the beet harvest. One is that you might work 20-something days without a day off. I spoke to several people who had done the beet harvest for at least 2 or more years, and they were saying that this year the weather was unusually good. Usually the weather gets really cold or really rainy, and then you'll get a day off and you'll get stay pay. Because I did mention in my other video, we get stay pay. But for whatever reason this year, the weather was just perfect conditions for harvesting every single day. Even if it rained a little bit, it never rained like too much where we didn't get a day off. So one harsh reality of the beet harvest is that you could work 3 weeks straight, 12.5-hour days without a day off. And I don't know about any of you, but I've never done that before. I've worked 12-hour days at plenty of jobs. Working 12 hours is nothing for me. But working 12.5 hours without getting 1 day off for 22 days straight, that is something I've never experienced, and it pushed me to my limit. I spoke to grown men. This was like the 4th year doing this, and we were talking, and this one man, he was like, the beet harvest will let you know your limits. It will show you who you are. And he was not lying. It is not easy. It's easy, the work is easy, but it's also arduous. It's labor intensive. Before I came to the beet harvest, I always heard you would get a few days off in between because of weather. And even meeting people who had done this before, they were like, yeah, it'll rain a lot or it'll get too cold and we'll get a day off. But that did not happen for me. Another harsh reality is that the beet harvest could go so well that you'll be done in like 9 days, because I spoke to some people, because I spoke to other people who said that a couple of years ago, they did the beet harvest. They started on October 1st, and by October 9th, it was over. All the farmers were done. And they weren't happy, and the harvesters weren't happy about that because they made less money. So that's another reality, is that it might not last 2 weeks, because a lot of people advertise $3,500 in 2 weeks, $3,500 in 2 weeks. But sometimes it'll be less than 2 weeks, and sometimes it'll be more than 2 weeks. So don't hold on too much to the 2 weeks that you keep hearing in a lot of videos, because it's not always 2 weeks. Another harsh reality is that it's dangerous if you're not paying attention, because this year someone died. And in training, people talked about deaths and they were like, oh, it rarely happens, probably 6 years ago, this and that. This year, someone died. And it was really sad. It didn't happen on my site. It happened on one of the other sites. But of course, we all heard about it. Management all had to talk to us about it to ensure that it doesn't happen again. But a young man was run over by a semi truck. He fell, and right as he fell, a semi started driving, and the semis carry the Beets. But he fell, and as soon as he fell, a semi started driving, and it ran him over, and the driver did not know. The only reason help was called was because the semi driver behind that driver that ran him over saw him on the ground. But the person who ran him over had no clue. He was just going about his day, dumping his Beets. So the young man was taken to the hospital, and then I think about 2 days later, he passed away. That was a harsh reality, because you learn about the job and you think, oh, this is easy. You're around a lot of big trucks, but you think like, nothing will happen. But something can happen, and something did happen this year. So you have to be really careful. And I can say that management at the Beet Harvest, they go over safety so much. Safety, safety, safety. There's a safety guy who comes to the sites every now and then, and he makes sure that we're wearing our vests, our glasses, our hard hats. He checks the machines, he makes sure that everything is running properly. And safety is talked about a lot at the Beet Harvest from management. So they make sure that we know what we're supposed to do. We just have to make sure we follow the rules. Another guy, I don't know if he broke his ankle or fractured his ankle, but he was in the machines cleaning, and I guess he wasn't doing things properly. He might have gone back past the line. There's a yellow line on the machines that we're not supposed to pass. I don't know the details, but apparently his ankle got pinched in the machine, and it might have gotten fractured or something like that. So we had that injury. So we had a death and an injury this year at the Beet Harvest. Yeah, that's another reality that I haven't really heard mentioned in Beet Harvest videos, probably because these things might not have happened when these other people were at the Beet Harvest. I do think these are rare occasions, but I just want to put it out there that it can happen, and you have to be really, really safe when you're around these big trucks and these huge machines. Another reality about the Beet Harvest is you can get fired. People were getting fired, and people quit. It's not all fun and games. It's not. Especially with a year like this year when you don't get days off. You might be randomly drug tested. Someone was drug tested. Someone, I think he smelled of alcohol. And you got to be careful with drinking and using drugs and stuff. We're around big trucks and, big machines. Like, can you just not wait a couple of weeks? Can you not just wait a few weeks, I don't know, some people can't. This happened at my site. I knew the guy. He was a really cool guy, super nice. But I believe someone went and told management that he smelled like alcohol. And management takes that very seriously, and they made him take a drug test. And I specifically heard management say, like, you cannot leave. If you leave before you take this drug test, like, we're gonna have problems. And the guy was just like, whatever, he was just sitting in his car and he took the drug test. And I don't know if he quit. Some people, he ended up failing the drug test, but I don't know if he tried. Some people said that he quit before they could fire him, and other people said he was fired. But either way, it was because of the drug test. He had to leave. So you will be randomly drug tested if management feels it's necessary, and you will be fired. But once he had to leave, the operator on our piler had to be the operator on his piler. And then once our operator left, I was like promoted to operator on our piler. One thing about being an operator is you get paid a little bit more. You get paid $20.26 or something, at least this year. The pay changes each year. I worked with another person who was 100% fired. They had become a little bit lazy. This was towards the end of the Beet Harvest, and things had finally started to slow down. So we would have breaks in between the trucks coming, and we would all be in our car. Like, management was like, it's really cold outside. You can sit in your cars, and when you see a truck coming, get out of your car and go to the piler and do what you do. So that we were all in our cars, but she would just go to sleep. I think she was doing other things in her car that would make her like just really drowsy and not very coherent, not very aware of what was happening. So she would just be like knocked out in her car, and it was just me and this other guy who were doing everything. Like every time a truck would come, he and I would be the ones who would get out of our cars and go do it. Yeah, she was sleeping in her car, and then at one point she lifted the back of her car, like the trunk of her car, and laid out a sleeping bag and a pillow and was just sleeping in there out in the open. And I think that was the final straw for management. So management called her into the scale house, and she was asked to leave. And that was that. That's another reality of the beet harvest, is you can get fired. And several people got fired. Another reality is that people quit. Good amount of people quit this year on all the different sites. I would talk to people in the night shift, and one of the girls was telling me that like 4 people had already quit. It wasn't even the end of the beet harvest yet. And the night shift this year was easy. Like, they barely worked. I'm like, why would you quit? That's easy money. The day shift, like, we were the busy ones. People quit because it's just too cold. They don't like working in the cold and the rain. And people might quit because the hours are too long. They just get sick and tired of working 12.5 hours, even though we're told ahead of time that we're going to work 12 hours. Some people don't like that. And other people quit because they were sick and tired of not having a day off. That's another reality, is that you might not like it. You might not like it, and you might quit. Or other people on your team might not like it, and they might quit. And then that might make things harder for you because your team is smaller now, and you might not have another person to give you a break. And now, like, switching off for breaks and stuff might be more complicated. It could just make things a little bit more complicated if people quit for you. So that's another reality that I didn't hear mentioned in a lot of other beet harvest videos. Is that people get fired and people quit. People can pass away. Someone did pass away. People can get injured. People definitely got injured this year. You can work 2 to 3 weeks without getting 1 day off. You could work 7 or 9 days and then it be over, and you make little to no money and you feel like your time was wasted. You can get fired. People can quit, which can make your job harder. And you can get drug tested randomly, and you have to take the drug test. It's very, very cold, and it's just very exhausting work. It's very exhausting work. 2 of my teammates told me towards the end of the beet harvest, they told me that they would go in their car and cry on their breaks. They would go in their car and cry. Like, that's how miserable they were. Like, at one point we were all pretty miserable, seriously. So I feel like you all should know that, because some of you showed interest in the beet harvest when I mentioned that I was doing the beet harvest. And yeah, I think you should know these things. Other than those things, the beet harvest is really great. I met a lot of great people, I learned so much about how to be a nomad, and I learned so much about other seasonal gigs I can go to after this, like working in national parks. Everyone I met, I would ask them, like, what other seasonal work do you do? How did you find it? How do you apply? And that is what you should do if you're new to this. Like, use your resources. You have all of these resources. A lot of people at the beet harvest have a lot of experience doing seasonal work. So you meet a lot of great people, and you learn a lot about how to be a nomad full-time and how to make money on the road full-time. You can make lifelong friends at the beet harvest. You really can. There's one girl I still keep in touch with, even though it's over. We text every now and then, ask each other what our plans are and things like that. So you can make lifelong friends if that's what you choose. Or even if they're not lifelong, you'll just meet a lot of good people. When my team all told me that they were quitting and they were gonna leave, we all had like a little bonfire outside, like one last hurrah, because we all got along well. I loved my team so much. We all got along so well. Yeah, we had one last hurrah, and we had a bonfire, and we cooked food over the fire. They cooked steaks, and I cooked some mushrooms and vegetables and things, and it was just really nice. It was a really nice last hurrah. From my experience, the beet harvest is not the most diverse. I was the only African-American person I saw in the entire, like, every training I went to, every orientation I went to, every site I went to, like, I didn't see anyone else who looked like me. Definitely not a scarf wearing hijabi. You know, definitely didn't see any other like Muslims or anything like that. So I saw no one who looked like me, and still everyone was so kind. And you just forget. I mean, we're all more similar than we are different anyways. It's just we like to focus on our differences, but you forget that you like kind of look different, you know, if that makes any sense, because it's just not an issue. Everyone is so nice and kind. They don't some of them will be like, oh, are you Muslim? Oh, they'll wait for me to say something. Like I'll be like, oh, I need to go pray really quickly, and I'm like, oh, you're Muslim, right? And like they were waiting for me to say something so that they could ask. And I would be like, yeah, I am. And they're like, oh, cool, I have a Muslim friend. I used to know a Muslim, or this or that, or even if they had never met one before, they would just be like, oh, cool, okay, well, see you after you go pray. Like, everyone is so respectful. Sometimes people won't do certain things because they feel like they're gonna stand out. No one's gonna like relate to them or understand them because they're gonna be like the most different of everyone else. But like, don't let that deter you, because you might be like me, you know, you might be the only Latino person, the only African American person, the only Caribbean person, whatever, the only Muslim person. But from my experience, no one cares. Everyone is nice. And yeah, it was just nothing but respect and kindness at the beet harvest. And I met so many great people, and that was one of the best parts of doing it. It's just the people that I met. Another pro is the money. The money is good. I have one more check that I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get an extra check because I stayed longer than everyone else. So that's something to think about. Towards the end of the beet harvest, when things start to slow down, they start asking for volunteers. And my two of my teammates had already said they were quitting. And then when they asked for volunteers, my third teammate, she was the first one. She was like, oh, me. She was so over it. She was so over it that she was the first one to volunteer. But yeah, after the 2 volunteers left, we had 5 people, and then we went down to 4 people, and then 3 people, and then it was just 2 of us because people they didn't want to stay. And I can say that I'm really grateful that I stayed until the end, because those extra 12.5-hour shifts, like, they add up. After 8 hours, you get overtime. On Saturday, the whole shift is time and a half. On Sunday, the entire shift is double time. So many people quit before the last weekend. So they missed a whole shift of double time and a whole shift of time and a half. Anyways, I just want to remind you all that the money adds up. And my check looked a lot better than other people's check because they quit early. It was really, really cold that last day. It was hard. I was literally like shaking. I was shaking. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but it's over now. It's over now, and I got that money. So that was my beet harvest experience. The good, the bad, that was my experience. Will I do it again? You know, there was one point when I said I wouldn't do it again, but at this moment, I feel like I would do it again. especially because I know what to expect next year. You know, there were some things that caught me off guard this year. I was like, they did not mention this in the videos that I watched. I was not expecting this, you know. But after doing it one year, I know what to expect. I know the exhaustion I'm gonna go through. I can prepare for the exhaustion. I know what type of like meals are best to cook, because I bought a bunch of like noodles to make noodle soups and stuff. I wasn't about to cook any noodles. I did not want to cook anything. There were days where I just didn't eat. I'm not gonna lie. I was just too exhausted. And like boiling water to cook noodles and then having to make a sauce, I just didn't want to do it. 15-minute break, and this is what I'm eating. Artichokes, olives, and spicy hummus. Literally just eating everything out of the jars and the containers. It's so cold outside. It's so cold outside. And look at these trucks. The line never ends. It never ends for 12 hours. It's insane. I made a lot of overnight oats because I didn't have to cook that. So yes, I would definitely do the beet harvest again. I might do it again next year. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that was my experience. That was my beet harvest experience. It was something I have never experienced before, and I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that I tried something new. I really don't know what I'm about to do now after this. I'm still up north, and I'm gonna be here for a few more days because I need like a week to recoup from the beet harvest. So yeah, that's where I'm at. The beet harvest is over. I'm about to get some groceries, pick up some Amazon packages, and then find somewhere to park for the rest of the day and just chill. And then I will either head north to Canada or I'll do something else. So yeah, I just really have no clue what I'm gonna do. I don't. And that's fine. That's fine with me. I'm not stressing about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. I appreciate those of you who stuck with me not uploading the last 2 Sundays. But I plan to go back to my regular schedule of uploading every Sunday. I have like a nighttime routine video I uploaded. I have a video of like a lot of the appliances and gadgets and things that I use in van life that make van life easy and comfortable for me. Someone specifically asked me to do that video like a month or so ago. So I do want to upload that video. If you guys have any other video ideas, you know, just leave them in the comments and I'll add that to my list. And yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
I just can't believe I'm yours. Every day I look at you and I think I must have done something good to deserve you. I'm not superstitious, it's just a suspicion, but I feel it in my bones. I feel it ever since the day we met. I just knew I must have done something good to deserve you. Perhaps I was a doctor saving people's lives in danger. Oh yeah, I must have done something good. Perhaps I was a pirate and I donated my treasure. Oh yeah, I must have done something. Or maybe I was kinda like rewinded all my videos. Oh yeah, I must have done something. Well anyway, I hope that you don't think that I'm delirious. Oh yeah, I must have done something. 'Cause baby, when we kiss, I feel that sort of bliss I didn't really think exists. I feel it, call it what you like, I don't really mind, as long as it's something good with you, baby.
I must have done something good. I must have done something.
And even if you're skeptical,
I must have done something.
and you don't believe in karma,
I must have done something.
you must admit that it's a miracle
I must have done something.
that we have found each other.
I must have done something.
'Cause while we have you, baby,
I must have done something.
you only get once in a
I
lifetime.
must have done something.
So please don't call me crazy.
I must have done something.
If I hope next life will still be mine.
I must have done something.
'Cause when I'm in your arms, then I